Screenplay reading. For Love by Jill Carlton. Read by Jill Carlton. Interior bathroom, day. Liner is applied to lower eyelashes. Diane, voice only. Life's funny. Exterior. Harry's house, day. It's a bungalow on a postage stamp lawn trimmed by a floral rainbow. Interior Harry's house, entryway. The wall is lined with framed pictures of two older men with a young woman at successive ages at varying locations. The atmosphere in the photos is always festive and loving. Whistling and assorted clatters roll from the kitchen. Interior, Harry's kitchen. Harry, late 70s, holds the fridge open with his foot, piling cereal, milk, bread, and butter onto the counter. He's a happy man. Begin montage. Eggs flopping onto a hot frying pan, bacon being turned, toast being buttered, coffee brewing, the table being set for two, coffee being poured, Harry on the phone. Harry. Good morning, fair Beatrice. 'Tis I, your noble... He smiles. Oh. Aha, well then as soon as you're finished talking with the fair child. Sure, of course, just come right on over when you're ready. He hangs up the phone and sits at his breakfast. He reaches toward the center of the table and winces. He stretches his left shoulder and frowns. He reaches again, shudders, and dies, face down in his breakfast. Interior bathroom. Mascara goes on upper lashes. Diane, voice only. Sometimes death can be funny, too. Interior, Brenda and Sean's sunroom. Day. Even in a pink fluffy robe and worn bunny slippers in her mid-50s, something in Brenda's manner conveys dignity. She watches two swans swimming in the pond. The headline of the financial section reads, Decker sells holdings to stave off buyout. Behind her, Sean, also mid-50s, eyes her lovingly while holding a piece of paper and an envelope. Brenda, sneering. Looks like Decker's finally drowning. Couldn't happen to a nicer family. Sean. We always knew they would. Brenda, tapping the paper. They sold the art center to Petrocelli. Sean. What? Brenda. Yep. Right out from under the kids. Sean. You think it was her? Brenda. Other people's pain is her life's blood. Brenda's eyes never leave the swans. Brenda. What is it? Sean. I'm sorry. He hands her the paper. Insert a printed email page. Dearest Bren, this morning your Uncle Harry was called home. He said he once gave you instructions. I hope you still have them. The funeral's in 1 week. See you then, dear. Love always, B. Brenda holds up her hand. Sean slides the envelope into it. His hand lights on her shoulder. He kisses her temple from behind. Brenda fingers a wax fleur-de-lis seal. Tears stream down. She cracks the seal and removes a single sheet of paper. Her fingers tremble as she opens it. Insert the note. It's time. Love, Harry. Brenda. No. Sean. There isn't much time left. Brenda. It's water under the bridge. I'm too old and too tired, and you know I won't fly. Sean. 4 days on the road. He even gave you time for sightseeing. Brenda. I can't drive anymore, you know that. Sean. Bren. Brenda rises. Every movement is painful and deliberate. Brenda. Call Vince for me and see what he says. I'll decide after my nap. She carefully leans to kiss his cheek, then leaves the room. Sean stares out at the swans and blinks back tears. Interior, Brenda's bedroom. Brenda sits at her pill bottle-covered vanity, brushing her hair carefully. Tears stream down her face. Harry's note is open in front of her. Brenda. Couldn't have waited just a little longer, eh, Harry? She sets the brush down and fingers her hair. She appraises herself, dries her tears, and opens a cabinet. One hand pulls the wig off, the other pulls the styrofoam head out. Her head is covered in tiny wisps of baby-fine hair. Brenda's left hand dives into a drawer. She stretches a crocheted, fuzzy pink cap over her head and sighs. She turns the clasp of her necklace, a gold fleur-de-lis. Her hand lingers on the pendant. Brenda, not much left at all. From a bottom drawer, she pulls a stationery box. Clutching it to her chest, she crosses gingerly to her beautiful, ornate, king-sized bed. The bedroom is palatial and elegantly decorated. She climbs into bed, holds the box on her lap as she opens it like a present. Inside are dozens of sentimental birthday and Christmas cards. She opens the topmost birthday card. Her attention centers on the writing on the left-hand side. Insert inscription: I hope the day is half as wonderful as you are. Thank you for the pictures of the kids. I can't wait to one day meet them. Happy birthday, baby girl. Love, Dad and Harry. Tears slide down her cheeks as she settles back, clutching the card to her chest, and drifts off to sleep. Begin flashback. Interior, the Forret Estate. Brenda's room. Day. Super. June 1969. Charity Forret, a stony ball-breaker of a woman, looms over young Brenda, a dark-haired daffodil in full bloom. Charity. I warned you what would happen if you defied me. Young Brenda. A threat made in the heat of anger. Charity. I should hope you know me better than that. Young Brenda. Business? You chose a business conquest over your own flesh and blood? What kind of woman are you? Charity. A smart one. There are appreciable gains to weigh against acceptable losses. Have I taught you nothing? Young Brenda. Harry was right. You're not human. You can't be. Charity enters and returns from a grand walk-in closet with a suitcase in hand. Charity. Don't think you're going to run and hide under your uncle's coattails either. Young Brenda. Of course not. After all, you hold the note on the vineyard as well. You are without a doubt the most despicable example of womanhood I have ever known. Charity thrusts the suitcase into Brenda's chest. Charity. You are your father's child, weak and useless. You have 2 hours before I call the sheriff and have you removed from this house forever. Brenda moves so she's toe-to-toe with Charity. Fire blazes in her eyes. Young Brenda. Mark my words, Mother. There will be a day when you will come to me, and when you do, you'll remember this moment, and that cold, dead stone you call a heart will sink, because you'll know you won't deserve whatever it is you need. Charity. You're deluded, sentimental, and incapable of ever attaining anything I should ever need. Charity strides from the room. Tears run down Brenda's face. End flashback. Interior Brenda's bedroom. Brenda's eyes snap open. Sweat glistens on her forehead. She sits up with a trembling breath and eyes Sean, who's across the room in his recliner, reading his paper. Sean. Talk to Vince. To claim anything, you have to be at the reading in person. No substitute will be accepted. Not me or the kids or even Vince can act in your behalf. The only way to get out of it is to be 6 feet under. Brenda. Well, then shoot me. I have no desire to see that woman ever again. Her face lights up with hope. Unless... Sean. No such luck. She's alive and is also required to be at the reading. The man knew you, Bren. You made him a promise and he's holding you to it. Brenda. Bea and the kids can have it all. Sean. What about Diane? Apparently he left her something too. Brenda. And David? Sean. He's the lucky one. Diane will be allowed to act on his behalf. Brenda. Son of a bitch. Well, then I just... Sean. Have to stow it up, as Harry would say. For Diane. For Diane. I owe Harry that much. Sean rises, brings her the phone, and kisses her cheek. Sean. Share some time with your daughter, Bren. Tell her all the things a mother should. Make an adventure of it. Slowly, Brenda nods. A smile lights her face. Exterior, Diane's balcony, day. Diane, a severe and serious late 20-something, surfs the internet on her laptop. She's a sultry wannabe librarian. On the other end of the love seat, her bare feet are being lovingly tended by Jason, mid-30s. His movie star looks are lost on both of them. Jason. Look, I can let it break me down, or I can use the opportunity to get a real job that earns real money. That way, we'll have double-income household, so when we get married... Diane. Don't start that again, Jason, please. Jason. Again? Look, I've been patient. You asked for room to warm up to the idea. I gave it to you. You're not even willing to talk about it, so why should I think there's something worth saving here? Diane. You want to talk about it? Fine. I just don't understand what the big deal is. It's a piece of paper. It doesn't add any depth to how much we love each other. It doesn't add to what we feel. We're already everything we need. Why complicate things by getting the church and state involved? Jason. Because it's what people do when they love each other. Why are you so dead set against the idea? I mean, I could understand it if your parents had a bad relationship, if you'd watched them go through a nasty divorce or something, but look at them. Diane. Don't bring them into this. Jason. Fine, I'll bring mine into it then. Look at them. Divorced for over a decade before Mom died, and they were never better as a couple. Diane, you're making my case for me. Jason. The point is, they couldn't have been that good together if they hadn't been married first. Diane. So what you're saying is, get married to aspire to failure. Jason. I just don't understand what you're so afraid of. Diane bolts up and looms over Jason. First off, there is nothing and no one on this earth that I am afraid of. Jason stands eye to eye with her. I don't believe you. If that was the case, you'd have a solid and defensible stance, and you don't. I'm not Rick. Diane sits, grasping her laptop, angry disbelief on her face. If you were, you wouldn't be here. The Decker Corporation just tossed your whole future to the wind, and you're picking a fight over the Institute of Marriage? Jason. Who's picking a fight? What happens to the center has no bearing on our getting married. The only thing I can really think at this point is that you just don't love me. Diane. Are you hearing yourself? You're threatening to leave me if I don't marry you? What kind of basis for a relationship is that? Jason. What? I never did. Off screen, the phone rings. Diane. Yeah, you just did, asking if there's something worth saving here. I thought we had something, period. I didn't know it needed saving. Would you run away if we had that stupid little piece of paper between us, or would that be the only reason you'd stay? Visibly stung, Jason lurches toward the patio door. Diane. Just let the machine get it. Jason. I'm not indefatigable. He dashes inside. Off screen. Hello? Hey, how's it? Oh, sure, hold on. Jason somberly hands her the phone. It's your mom. This is shaping up to be a great day. Taking the phone. Hey, Mo, what's up? Brenda, voice only. Hi, honey. I'm afraid there's some bad news. You might want to sit down. Or are you? Diane sighs, sits up, and sets the laptop aside. Who died? Brenda, voice only, haltingly. I'm afraid, but it was quick at least. He should have switched to egg whites decades ago. Mom, it's Uncle Harry. I'm afraid he passed away this morning. Huh. How'd he die? Jason listens in. Interior Brenda's bedroom. Brenda is sitting up in bed, digging through her pillbox. She finds what she wants and swallows them quickly. Well, according to B, he just sort of went face first into his eggs and bacon. The funeral's a week from today. Interior Diane's apartment. Diane heads inside with Jason following. The apartment is functionally furnished. Clean lines. Plants provide the personality. Diane. Face first into his eggs and bacon? Are you kidding me? Brenda. I'm afraid not, sweetie. It's a very hairy way to go. The real punchline is waiting for us in Napa, unfortunately. Diane. What do you mean? And why so long to the funeral? Brenda. That's part of the punchline. And it's in a week because that's how Harry wanted it. There are things to do. It's a funeral. Drop your shit, hop a plane. You know I won't fly. I know you won't. Do you want me to bring something from you and Sean? Brenda. No, hun. I thought it would be nice to drive there. She wheels, her eyes wide in horror as she grasps Jason's arm. You want to drive there? Brenda. No, not me. I can't see well enough to drive that kind of distance, and my hips certainly won't tolerate. Good God, don't scare me like that. So when are you two leaving? Interior. Brenda's bedroom. Sean enters and sits on the bed beside Brenda. Brenda's starting to fade, her eyes drift closed, and her breathing gets shallow. You'll do the driving, of course, and I'll navigate. Smiling wistfully. It'll be just like when you and Dave were kids. Speaking of Dave, when was the last time you saw him? Maybe you should have him drive you. He still has a license, I think. Let's not bring your brother into this. I need to go catch my breath, sweetie. Talk to Sean. She hands the phone to him. Interior Diane's bedroom. Jason eyes her curiously and mouths, Asthma? Sean. Voice only. Hey, Di, how you doing, young'un? Diane nods. Hi, Dad. Brenda. Tell her if she brings Jason, we'll stop in Vegas. Make it a nice little thing and then have a reception when we get home. Diane. Oh, for Christ's sake, not her too. Sean. You heard? Diane. Yeah. Interior, Brenda's bedroom. Sean sitting by her side, stroking her face while she sleeps. Sean. She just wants you to be happy, you know that. Diane. How's she doing? Sean. You know how quickly she gets tired when the asthma hits. Diane. Yeah, she's never been a healthy puppy. She wants to drive all the friggin' way across the country just for a funeral? Sean. It's Harry. Diane. I know. Sean. Besides, once she realized it was a chance to take a trip with you, she got real excited. Maybe a little too excited. Brenda wakes up, smiles, and presses his hand to her cheek before kissing it. Diane. You think she can handle it? Sean. With you by her side? I know she can. I'll make sure she's ready by 10 a.m. tomorrow. How's that? Brenda nods, smiling. Diane, voice only, defeated. Fine. You tell her if she's not ready when I pull up, she's not coming. Sean. Diane. Don't Diane me. I'm not going to start a cross-country trip at 3 in the afternoon. Brenda. Tell her it'll be fun. It'll be an adventure. Did you hear that? Yeah, I heard her. She'll be ready. Love you, kiddo. Interior Diane's bedroom. She starts throwing clothes from the closet and dresser onto the bed, then throws a suitcase out of the closet. Jason smiles, wrapping his arms around her. Love you too. And just so you know, you guys are paying for the gas because we're going to go through it like crazy with the AC on the whole time. She tosses the phone onto the bed. Jason. I'll go get your parka. He steps from the room as she flings herself onto the bed. Jason, off screen. She just wants to spend time with you, you know. Diane. Why? It'll be fun. It'll be an adventure. Oh, Mosey. Begin flashback. Exterior. Jimmy's on the river. Day. Superimposed. 1989. A gold sedan pulls into an overcrowded gravel lot. The ramshackle, weathered building could house a boat repair place or a restaurant. The Miller sign hanging in the window gives it away. Brenda, in high fashion, slips from the driver's side. Diane's in freaker chic. Arm in arm, they walk to the door. Diane opens it and bows deeply. They enter the darkness. Interior. Jimmy's on the river. A Bluto in a fish guts-covered apron moves smoothly from the kitchen, snatches menus, and meets the girls. The place is wall-to-wall people. Brenda motions to the deck. He leads them to the last open spot on the deck, pulls his pencil and pad, and waits. Diane. Vodka tonic, please. Brenda. Long Island iced tea for me, please. He nods and weaves his way back inside. Brenda grabs Diane's hands. wonder and surprise on her face. Vodka tonic? What if he carded you? Diane, shrugging. Oops, I must have left it at home. Brenda, old enough to say yes, but not to drink. It's crazy. She turns Diane's hand and mists up at the sight of a tiny engagement ring. Brenda, are you happy? Do you think you'll be happy? Diane, yeah, I think I am, or will be, maybe. Either way, at least it'll be an adventure. Brenda, Rick's a lucky guy. Not many women in this day and age would drop their own plans just for someone else's desires. A waitress brings their drinks. Love finds a way, I guess. Waitress. Hi, I'm Meg. Have you decided yet? Exterior, the deck, later. The crowd has thinned considerably. The table is full of empty plates. Brenda and Diane lean against the railing sipping coffee. The river shimmers below them as two men, a younger Jason and his dad Jake, load tackle onto the boat. The guys look up and wave. Diane, so totally hot. Brenda, which one? Diane, both of them. Brenda, you're engaged. Diane, not blind. The girls wave back and continue talking. Jake, hey, want to go for a quick turn? The girls shake their heads and wave them off. Jason, come on, it's a great afternoon. We'll have you back in 15 minutes. The girls look at each other. Brenda, sure would be nice, wouldn't it? Diane, let's do it. What's the worst that can happen? Brenda eyes her. You do watch the news, don't you? Diane, they're just a couple of guys. Besides, if anything feels weird, we jump overboard, swim to the shore, and run. But slide your rings off into your pockets. Jake, come on, a couple of pretty sea nymphs should be on the water, not watching it. Jason shoulders him, smiling awkwardly. His eyes never leave Diane. Diane moves toward the dock. Brenda sticks with her. Both have hands in their pockets. Brenda, this is crazy. Diane, let's just get a feel, see if we want to. They stop out of arm's reach. Brenda, she's a nice little boat. The boys step onto the dock. Jake, thanks. He offers his hand. Diane steps forward first. Diane, I'm Elaine. This is my mom, Deborah. Jake, nice to meet you. I'm Jake. This is my son, Jason. Diane takes his measure, shakes hands with Jason, and then steps back to let Brenda come forward. Brenda, it's a pleasure. Jake, you ladies been on one of these before? Brenda, a couple of times. We do love the water. Jake, well, come on. We'll take a turn around the lake and have you back before traffic hits. Diane points to Jake's hand. Diane, won't your wife be upset about you picking up a couple of strange girls for a ride? Jake, she passed a couple years ago, but she was never one for the water. She couldn't swim. Diane and Brenda, oh, I'm so sorry. Jake, me too. So, shall we go? Jake steps onto the boat. Brenda, I don't know. Diane, it'll be fun. It'll be an adventure. They're just a couple of guys, a dad and his boy. Brenda, you really think they're okay? Diane, would I steer you wrong? Brenda kisses Diane's cheek. Never. And steps onto the edge of the boat. The guys high-five each other. Jake, see, Jace, I told you it was going to be a great day. They help the girls into the boat and give them life vests. Jason helps Brenda with hers while Diane fastens her own and Jake casts off. Begin montage. The boat whizzing along the shoreline. Laughter and surprise as the boat soars over a wake. Cruising speed with everyone drinking sodas and talking. Stopped in a sunny spot. Jason and Jake serve the girls. Back at the dock, the girls happily flushed. Exterior, the dock, later. Diane finishes writing on a slip of paper, then hands it to Jason. Give me a call sometime. He gently snatches and cradles her hand. I can't. Diane, you can't. Jason, you won't be home yet. Once Brenda's behind her, Diane steps back. Diane, thanks for a lovely time, guys. Jake, thanks for joining us. Jason raises a shy hand as they leave. Diane returns the half wave. He slides the number into his wallet, watching Brenda and Diane walk to the parking lot. Brenda, you do realize you're engaged, right? Diane, come on, guys don't call. And flashback. Interior, Brenda's bedroom. Sean caresses her face. You're going to be together 24 hours a day for at least 11 days. I know. Call the pharmacy for me. You're already refilled. Then call the other one. She's not blind. If she were, she wouldn't be driving. Sean is surprised and chuckles. Exterior, the Price Estate. Day. Diane's car, a modest four-door sedan, rolls up to the front steps of a Midwestern castle. The front door opens. Gerard, a tall, dignified man, exits with the first two of Brenda's bags. Interior, the car. Diane cleans up her eyeliner. Vegas. Chapel love. Pastor Presley presiding. Yeah, I think I'll pass. Diane pops the trunk. Exterior, the driveway. She dashes around the car. Hey, Gerard, how you doing? Gerard. Very well, thank you, Miss Price. How are you? Diane. I'd be better hopping a plane. She follows him inside. Interior, the foyer. There's a small mountain of luggage near the door. Jesus, we're only going to be gone for what? 10, 12 days? You need your whole wardrobe? Sean strolls to her, grasps her in his arms, and kisses her head. Sean, you look great. Diane, I look like a bum. She twirls in her old, comfy jeans, battered sneakers, Northwestern sweatshirt. Off-screen, Brenda can be heard. Why shouldn't you be comfortable? Diane, where are you? Interior, the bathroom. Brenda picks 3 pills out of a mint tin. She hastily swallows them down with a cup of water. She leans tiredly on the sink. Just touching up my lipstick. Interior, the main hallway. Diane leans into Sean. Is she even dressed yet? Brenda, off-screen. Of course I'm dressed. Diane, indulgently. Which, in your vernacular, means you have underwear on. Brenda, off-screen. And then some. Sean, she's been ready for nearly an hour. No way. Way. This trip means a lot to her. Diane is surprised and mildly confused. I'm getting that. What I don't get is why. Brenda emerges into the hall, her arms outstretched toward Diane. Come here, let me look at you. Light's better here. Come to think of it. Diane shakes her head, moving to Brenda. You look beautiful as always. The two are night and day. Brenda's in a coordinated travel suit with full face on. Brenda kisses her, smiling both brightly and mistily. She cups Diane's face, then pulls her tight for a long embrace. Diane tries to straighten out of the hug once, then again, but finally gives in until Brenda's ready to let go. Brenda fingers lipstick off Diane's cheek, then grasps her arm, walking to the front door. It's all about makeup and lighting. Brenda yawns hugely. You must have gotten up at the ass crack of dawn. You can put the seat back and sleep in the car if you want. I've got a route set in the GPS. Brenda flutters her fingers at Sean, who hands over a small sheaf of papers. I've got a couple places I'd like to stop at along the way if it's not too much trouble. I mean, the funeral's a week away, and I thought we could have a few days just to ourselves, you know? I figured we'd just kind of get there and then figure out stuff to do. I mean, it's Napa, right? You know the area. I've never been there. It's just a few places. And the reservations are already made, so we don't have to worry about whether or not the place has rooms available. Diane looks at the papers. Diane, tense. The Galena Inn's only 3 hours away. We're not going to blow an entire day for a 3-hour ride, Mom. Sean smiles knowingly. Brenda sticks her tongue out at him. We have to stop for lunch, dear. Diane. Or we could eat while we get as many miles behind us as possible. Brenda. Why don't we discuss it in the car? Diane. Fine, I'll redo all the programming in the GPS. Behind Brenda, Sean shakes his head slowly. We'll probably need gas by then anyway. How about we do a nice lunch and then dinner on the road? Brenda. We'll discuss it in the car. Sean claps his hand to his forehead. Diane drops her chin to her chest and shakes her head. Brenda turns, wrapping her arms around Sean. Her step wavers, but he balances her. Sean. Discuss more than where to eat, please. Brenda. Of course, dear. There are bathroom breaks to consider, too. Diane slings Brenda's purse and cosmetic bag over her shoulder. Geez, Mo, what the hell's in these things? Lead or gold? Brenda. Why don't you let Gerard take them to the car? Diane. I've got 'em, provided there's room in the trunk. Brenda. Back seat, please. Diane heads out the door. I'm a happy pack mule. Sean guides Brenda gently to the door. Diane, off screen. Go take a last pee. We're not stopping till we get to Galena. Already done. Sean. Tell her. Brenda. When the time is right. Sean. She's not good with surprises. Brenda chuckles. Ain't that the truth? They descend the steps. Brenda's movements are stiff and hesitant. Diane notices and frowns, opening the passenger door. Sean ushers her gingerly into the front seat. Diane. All in? Brenda nods. Diane closes the door and hugs Sean. What's wrong with her? She's moving like an old lady. Sean. I hate to tell you this, Di. She is an old lady. A tired one at that. Like you said, she was up at the ass crack of dawn. He cups her face, something sad in his. You two take good care of each other and call to say goodnight. The passenger window rolls down. Brenda. We'll call when we get settled in for the evening. Sean. Good. He and Diane kiss. Diane dashes around and gets into the car. She waves out the driver window as she pulls the car through the rest of the circular driveway. On the porch steps, Sean waves until they're out of sight. Come home to me, love. Please. Exterior, the road. Diane's car zigs and zags around others, then enters the expressway on-ramp. Hold on to your toes. Thrill seeker. Hey, I'm a respectable adult now. I gotta take my little thrills wherever I can get them. Your veneer is wearing thin. Can you find us a gas station? I have to go. Are you kidding? I thought you said you just went. I did. I knew I should have brought a coffee can. The car swings onto the next off-ramp. On the road, the car winds up back onto the expressway, whipping past other cars and trucks. I brought plenty of tapes, and I made a playlist I think you'll like. Ooh, let's hear it. Music starts, Brenda sighs. They both start singing. Interior, the car, later. Lush farms and fields line the asphalt ribbon the car flies down. The music is still 60s and 70s. The volume is lower. Brenda is sleeping, a jacket draped over her. Diane glances over. She notices the edge of Brenda's wig. Her smile turns to a frown. She kisses her fingers, then lightly touches Brenda's cheek. Diane's eyes return to the road. Begin flashback. Interior. A junior high school classroom. Day. Students are hunched over their desks. The room is quiet. The door opens. A secretary waddles to the teacher's desk. The children all look up, and most return to their tests. She wears her glasses like a necklace and peers around the room through them. She whispers into the teacher's ear. Teacher. Diane Price, turn in your test, take your books, and report to the office. The students ooh and ah and snicker. Diane, in nondescript jeans and sweater, packs her things. But I'm not done yet. Teacher. You'll have an opportunity to take a makeup exam when you return to class. If I'm coming back, why can't I leave my stuff? Not today. The other students snicker. Several of them mutter, lucky, or can I go too? Young Diane. What's going on? The teacher. Do as you're told, Miss Price. Young Diane. But, teacher, turn in your test and go. Diane makes her way up the aisle and places her test on the teacher's desk. Young Diane. What did I do? Teacher. Report to the office, Miss Price. Your father will explain everything. Young Diane. My father? Explain what? The secretary grasps her shoulder and marches her out of the door while the other children boo and hiss. Teacher, off screen. That's enough, children. Back to your tests. Interior, the hallway. Young Diane shrugs out from the secretary's grip and scowls at her. What's going on? Why is my dad here? Is something wrong? Is my mom okay? Secretary. Your father will explain everything. Young Diane. What's to explain? Secretary. Mind your tone, young lady. I can still give you detention. They enter the office. Interior. Brenda's hospital room. Later. Brenda looks tiny against the bed. Her head is bandaged. There's a huge bandage on her right cheek. Her skin is bruised and puffy and colored orange with betadine. She's unconscious and intubated. There are tubes and lines everywhere. Young Diane moves hesitantly forward, her hand outstretched, tears streaking her face. Mom? Mommy? She looks back. Sean nods. Young Diane slowly sits on the edge of the chair beside the bed. She touches Brenda's hand, then looks at Sean in the doorway. He nods. She fearfully takes Brenda's hand and lays it on her own. Hi, Mommy. It's me. Dad says you're sleeping, so you don't feel the pain. I need you to wake up, okay? Not right now, but when you're ready, you have to wake up, okay? Sean. She'll be okay, sweetie. Your mom's a lot stronger than anyone knows. She leans down, rubbing Brenda's hand on her cheek. She kisses Brenda's hand, then rests it on her head. Young Diane bites her finger until the tears stop. When she looks up, Sean is talking with a nurse in quiet whispers. Nurse. They want to schedule the surgery as quickly as possible. The sooner it's done, the better her chances of a full recovery. Sean. When did they have in mind? Nurse. First thing in the morning. The surgeon will explain the procedure to you as soon as he finishes his rounds. Sean. What can you tell me about it? Nurse. Part of her skull was shattered. Her pelvis has multiple fractures. If she survives, she's going to need a lot of work, Mr. Price. I swear they should make it a law to have to wear seatbelts. Young Diane brings her lips to Brenda's ear. They don't know you. You'll be good as new. You will. I need you to. Okay? Please? She kisses Brenda's temple. Sleep good. Dream good things. She picks her way to the door and takes Sean's hand. Can I go home now? Sean, don't you want to stay for a while? Keep your mom company, maybe read to her? Diane shakes her head. Her expression is emotionless. Nurse, she really should rest. If you'd like, I can have a cot set up for you in the room while you take your daughter home. Interior, young Diane's bedroom, night. In the hall, a door latch clicks. Young Diane rolls over and blinks at her bedroom door. She rises and creeps out into the hall. In the hallway, she tiptoes to her parents' room. The doors open a crack. Sobs and sniffles can be heard. Off-screen, Sean. God, please. Please. She peeks curiously through the crack. Sean is on his knees in prayer position. Sean. Please, if you're up there, it's not enough time. I promised her for life. I need her for life. You can't take her away from me. Please. He collapses in on himself. I don't want to be alone. Young Diane's frightened eyes drip tears as she returns to her room. The door closes softly. Interior, young Diane's bedroom. She stands at her dresser looking at a framed photo of her and Brenda together on a beautiful sunny day. She snatches it off the dresser and crawls into bed, curling on her side, hugging the picture close. I don't want to be alone either. Interior, Sean's car, day. Sean looks at young Diane, strapped tightly into the passenger seat. Her expression is intense. Sean. Just a few more days and Mom's coming home. What do you think we should do for her? Diane shrugs. In the back seat, David smashes two action figures together and makes an exploding sound. Young David. I think we should have a party. Make her a strawberry cheesecake and an angel food cake with pink frosting, and have Grandma and Grandpa come and stay with us forever. What do you think, doofus head? He kicks the back of the passenger seat. Young Diane. I think if you're going to live to see her home, you're going to stop kicking my seat. David raspberries her but stops kicking. Sean. Easy there, Tiger. He's just excited. Young Diane. Yeah, well, I am too, but you don't see me acting like an ignorant ape. In the rearview mirror, young David's face trembles. You tell your brother you're sorry right now. I'm not. He jumps on her or forgets to control himself, and Mom's the one who's going to get hurt. Young David. Nuh-uh, I won't forget. You're just mean and ugly. Sean. Both of you, stop it right now. This is a happy day. David, your mother's going to be fragile for a while, so you're going to have to be careful. Diane turns and sticks her tongue out at him. He returns the gesture. And you, young lady, she's going to need your help and support, and that means showing a little patience with your brother. Is that understood? She blanks her expression and nods. Understood. Young David. Sir, yes, sir. He goes back to making his action figures fight. Interior, Brenda's bedroom, later. A dozen different wigs line the vanity. Diane lays on the bed, watching her trade one for another. How about this one? Young Diane. I like it. It's a nice deep red, not that ugly orangey red. How many are you going to keep? I don't know. Maybe all of them? I heard you say they're real human hair. Yep. That means they can be washed and styled just like real human hair. They all look so natural. That's the idea. That way, no one knows you're wearing a wig. Will your hair grow back? Yep. It's just going to take a while, but the doctor says it's going to be just like it was before. Good. I told you you'd be good as new. Brenda leaves a brown bob on and shakily pushes herself to her feet with a walker. She crosses the room slowly. Young Diane backs to the far side of the bed, piling the pillows onto Brenda's side. Brenda eases herself onto the bed, then leans back exhausted and pats the bed next to her. Young Diane inches forward, then wafts the spread over them both. End flashback. Interior, the Forret estate. Office, day. Charity Forret, now a dynamic 70-something whip wielder, paces behind an ornate, almost gaudy wood desk. When she's not happy, people and small animals take shelter. Nothing is stirring. Charity. I really don't care for your excuses, Julian. What I desire is to know what kind of capital we've been able to raise to salvage this situation. Those shares never should have been sold. Julian, voice only. With the sale of several of our minor institutions and cultural holdings, the museums, the theaters, the art centers, we're very close to what we need to buy back the shares. Interior, Decker Shipping, Julian's office. Julian Decker, a greased Pole of 50-some-odd years, paces his small office. Schematics of cargo ships dating back to the 1800s line the walls. A portrait of Ernest Decker, the founder, glares down at him. Julian. I have to call in to Dale. He's trying to track down the owner of the company. Charity, voice only. This level of incompetence is unacceptable. None of the other holdings matter. The shipping company is all that matters. Do you have any clue how much we stand to lose annually if we have to go to an outside source to ship? Yes, Charity, I understand. None of us wants our bottom line whittled away to nothing. How stupid do you think we are? You do not want an answer to that question. You and your imbecile brother had better take care of this before the transfer is finalized. I told you we're working on it. Work harder. By the time my brother's will is read, I want the name of the man whose throat we're going to have to cut to put those things right. How much do you figure that'll add to the pot? More than plenty. The vineyard has been wildly productive. Just do your job and get me the information I need to straighten out this mess. Interior, the Forret estate, office. Charity slaps the conference button on the phone and stares at the garden out the window. The door opens, admitting a spry, white-haired man. She snarls with a glance at him. This is Jean Forret, her husband. Jean. Something bothering you, love? Charity. It's business, nothing you need to pull yourself out of the bottle for. Jean strides to the desk, opens one of the drawers, and grabs a cigar. He trims and puffs it to life. Jean. Good. I know you'll handle it. I was thinking of going to the vineyard today. Make sure everything's still working as it should. Charity. Or to drink your fill without someone to put a stopper in your mouth. Either way, it's a good idea. Jean. But of course, love. In spite of our loss, the wine must continue to flow, don't you agree? Distracted, she waves him off. Grinning around his stogie, Jean strolls out. Exterior, the Galena Inn, backyard. Day. A forest green cloth wafts over a two-person table on the inn's patio. Once seated, Brenda points to the pristine white gazebo and lush emerald lawn. Diane. So why this place instead of any of the other 20 bed and breakfasts in Galena? Tammy, a young, heavily pierced 20-something, brings them menus. Her smile is infectious. Tammy. Welcome to the Galena Inn. Would you like to start with a drink? Diane. She'll have ice water with lemon and a straw, and I'll take coffee with cream, no sugar. Brenda. Please. Tammy. I'll be right back. She hustles away. Brenda. It's a beautiful yard, isn't it? Diane. It is, but what makes it special to you? Brenda takes and holds her hand. This is where your father and I were married. She grins with the memories. Oh, how we dreamed of that day. Ever since we were children, we dreamed of being man and wife. And here is where we found each other again and made it happen. Interior, the Galena Inn. Brenda's room. Day. Super. August 1969. 20-year-old Brenda, in a simple white sheath dress, cries inconsolably into her hands, her full makeup a mess. Shirley, also 20, but a premature matron, dabs at Brenda's mascara streaks. I can't do this to him. Someone will find out and he'll be a laughingstock again. I can't do that to him. Shirley. You can and you will. That man has loved you since kindergarten and you love him. Besides, who else would have you? Brenda. No one. Not like this. Not now. Shirley lights a cigarette and hands it to her, then moves to the minibar and pours a drink. Shirley. You've got cold feet, that's all. It happens to everyone. She hands a snifter of liquor to Brenda, who gulps it down quickly, then sucks desperately on the cigarette. A second later, she covers her mouth and hands the smoke back to Shirley. She burps, then sags, but starts to collect herself. Shirley. Better? Brenda. Better. She rises, smoothing the dress over slightly rounded abdomen. Brenda. Can you tell? Shirley. You've never been Mia Farrow, honey. A knock sounds. Harry, off-screen. Hello, is there a blushing bride in there? Brenda's at the dressing table fixing her face. Shirley admits Harry. In his mid-40s, Harry is a dashing, roguish figure with twinkling eyes and a mischievous smile. He lights up at the sight of Brenda. There's my favorite girl. From behind, he kisses her cheek and smiles into the mirror. Tell me, isn't there some crazy old tradition about something about a bride and her wedding day? It's bad luck for the groom to see the bride before the wedding, Shirley offers. Harry. There's no such thing as luck. That's not the one. Brenda. If it's raining on her wedding day, then she's a Pipishka bride. Harry, kissing her cheek. You are anything but Pipishka, my dear. He straightens up and paces a bit. No, this one has something to do with blue and borrowing and Shirley and Brenda. Something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. Harry. Yeah, that's the one. He pulls a small box out of his pocket. Brenda rises, taking it. What's this? Harry. This is just something old and maybe even borrowed, depending on how you look at it. She opens the box. Inside is a gold fleur-de-lis pendant. Brenda. This was Grandma's. What about Mother? Harry takes the box, removes the pendant, then positions Brenda in front of him before the mirror. He clasps it around her neck. I think it looks better on you. Brenda. But I'm not. Harry scowls darkly and turns her to face him. You will always be. Joyous tears fall as she throws herself into his embrace. Thank you, Uncle Harry. Thank you for being here. Well, thank you for just everything. He pets her back and kisses her forehead. Now, wipe off those tears and fix your face. You've got a man out there thinking you're liable to shinny down the drain pipe and leave him to fly solo. Brenda, not in this dress. Harry leaves. Brenda quickly starts to fix her makeup. She caresses the pendant. I can do this. Interior, the Galena Inn hallway. Sean, also 20, grasps Harry by the lapels. His wraith-like stature hides steely strength. Sean, how is she? She's still there, right? Surely won't let her run out on me, right? Harry, good gracious, man, you're going to have to learn how to stow it up, son, especially if you're going to do right by my niece. Sean, of course. Sorry, sir, I'm sure you understand, sir. Harry, not in the least. Never could see a reason to tie either myself or a lady up. He leans in close. Unless it's with a big satin bow, that is. Harry walks Sean into the library where he pours them each a stiff drink. Girl's mad about you. Always has been. And in my mind, if what she's told me is true, she's right to be. Young man like yourself taking on responsibilities that aren't his own? Yes, sir. You do understand my concern here, don't you, son? Sean nods, then stops. Not really, sir. What I do understand is that I love her. He slugs back his drink. I have since we were kids, and I never thought the good Lord would give me a chance to prove it. But he has, and I fully intend to do my best to make her the happiest woman on earth. Harry, spoken like a true romantic. He gets up, claps Sean on the shoulder, and angles him toward the door. You know, I think you just might do after all, my boy. They leave the library. Thank you, sir. Exterior, the Galena Inn, backyard. A handful of locals and the inn staff are gathered around the gazebo. Inside, Brenda and Shirley stand on one side, Sean and Harry on the other, and the priest in between. Brenda, I do. Sean sighs and smiles, relieved. The attendees clap vigorously. Priest, you may now kiss your bride. Sean's trembling hand cups Brenda's face. I never thought this day would come. Just kiss the girl already. It's 5 o'clock somewhere in the world. Brenda, how'd I get so lucky? Sean leans in. His smile brushes hers. Tears slide down her cheeks. She strokes Sean's face and captures his lips. A camera captures the moment. And flashback. Interior, the vineyard, Harry's office. Day. Jean leans back, rolling his cigar between his fingers. The desk phone buzzes. An older male voice speaks. Mr. Ehrlicher for you, sir. Jean. Thank you. He picks up the receiver. Vincent? Jean. Vincent. Hey, how's my favorite vintner? Interior, Vincent's office. The office is huge and sparsely but richly furnished. Golf memorabilia of all stripe give the room personality. Vincent Ehrlicher stands at the head of a long indoor putting green. His Bluetooth is in his ear, and he's practice swinging. Vincent. How's the new batch coming, and when can I expect my sample case? Jean. When it's ready. How are you progressing with the will? He sets his ball down and squares himself. Vincent. I've been through it a few times now. He takes his swing. The ball travels quick and true right into the cup. Vincent does a little victory step, then moves to his desk. A copy of Harry's will sits open. Vincent. This thing's tighter than a duck's butt, not a loophole in sight. If you're wrong, and there's one to find, and you're not the one to have found it. Vincent. Look, Jean, I'm about to pass it on to one of the senior partners. Jean, voice only. To hell with the senior partners. Give it to your most ambitious clerk. Have them go through it word for word, line by line. Tell them there's a $1,000 bonus if they can find an exploitable loophole. Vincent pulls up his clerk list on his computer and starts scrolling through it. $1,000 for something that's not even there? Incentive. $1,000 to a starving clerk is Christmas. He stops scrolling at a tidy young woman named Claire de Leon. A line of her profile reads, First consideration for junior partner. Vincent. I just found the perfect woman for the job. I'll get back to you by breakfast tomorrow. He opens the IM window. Interior, the clerk's bullpen. Claire's cubicle is overrun with layers of books. Her head is down, moving rapidly back and forth between a contract and 2 different legal books. The IM pings. Insert computer screen and IM window. V. Ehrlicher. Miss DeLeon, report to my office immediately. She looks from the screen to the front wall of the labyrinth of cubicles. The wall reads, Ehrlicher, Strathouse, Moore, and Peterson. She stands up, straightens her blouse and slacks. She puts her blazer on, then takes it off. Her breathing comes short. Shit. She puts the blazer back on. Her eyes fall to a picture of her and a child atop her computer screen. Pray for me, baby. She kisses her finger, then touches the face of the child. She's notably anxious. Interior, their hotel room, night. Diane sets her suitcase and laptop bag on the bed. A bellman brings in Brenda's 3 suitcases and her makeup bag. Brenda slides in after him as he deposits her bags on the empty bed. Brenda. No, that won't do. Sweetie, do you mind if I take the bed closer to the bathroom? Diane. It's also the one closest to the room door. Brenda. Well, so be it. I just don't think you'd want me waking you up by tripping over your bed, but if that's what you want. It's a bed. Take whichever one you want. Then when some hatchet-wielding psycho breaks in, you'll be the first one to get hit, and I'll have to explain to Dad why you're dead and I'm still alive. The bellman looks between them. Happens a lot, does it? Diane opens her mouth to snarl something. Brenda steps up and slips the man a 5. She's a bit protective. Bellman. Well, don't worry, ma'am. We have a very firm no hatchet-wielding psychos allowed policy. Brenda. What about axes? Bellman. That's a whole different game. If either of you need anything, just pick up the phone and the operator will be able to help you. Brenda. Thank you. Diane digs through her purse as the bellman leaves. I'm going to call Jason. I'll be out on the balcony. Brenda grabs her cell phone and her makeup bag, then heads into the bathroom. Interior, the bathroom. Brenda's digging through over a dozen pill bottles in the case. Some she puts into the tin, replenishing the supply while laying out some on the counter. Moments later, she downs a small handful of pills, then closes the case and slides the tin into her purse. Interior, their hotel room, later. The remnants of a room service picnic are set on the floor. Diane and Brenda are both on Brenda's bed. Brenda picks up a book from the nightstand and hands it to Diane. What's it about? Diane. A couple little boys who discover they're destined to save the world from agents of the living dark. Brenda. Read some to me? Diane takes the book and props herself up. Brenda snuggles down into a pile of pillows, a smile on her lips. Diane. You want me to start at the beginning? I'm only a few chapters into it. Brenda. Whatever you want. I miss our girls' days. Diane grins, then opens the book. Nick of Time, Chapter 1. Dark doesn't fall, it kind of swoops like a shadow over everything, Frank Emerson thought as the last rays of sun were chewed up by blackness that came before a heavy steel clang. I wonder if this is what Daddy saw when he got put in the ground. A sniffle inched out of his nose as he pondered things no 5-year-old should have to consider. Interior, their hotel room, later. Brenda's on her side, sleeping. Diane's still reading. Nearing their apartment, Frankie glanced up at Nick, happily swinging their locked hands together. Hey, Nick? Yeah? You think we're going to need costumes? She glances at Brenda, closes the book, and slips from the bed. At the dresser, Diane stops at the sight of a trio of pill bottles that Brenda left out. She glances at Brenda, then reads the labels. The labels read hydrocodone, panitumumab, and bevacizumab, respectively. Frowning, Diane pulls the mint tin from Brenda's purse pocket and opens it, frowning at the number of pills in there. She takes the 3 bottles to the table and wakes up her computer. Interior, their hotel room, later. The bathroom light is on. The computer screen casts eerie white light against shimmering tears on Diane's face. Insert computer screen. Used as an aggressive frontline treatment for metastatic disease. Diane nods, closes the window, then the computer. Dazed, she crawls into her own bed, curled on her side, facing Brenda. Interior, a mini-mart bathroom, day. A moan pours out of one of the stalls. You okay? Brenda. No. Diane. What's wrong? Brenda. I think the wine last night didn't sit well. I'll be all right. Go in my purse and find an Imodium. Her purse dangles out from under the stall. Diane grabs it and starts digging. You carry it in your purse? At my age, you carry a lot of things in your purse that wouldn't make sense to someone your age. She finds one, opens it up, lets Brenda pick it out of her hand under the stall, then hands a bottle of water underneath, too. If I could just go, it wouldn't be so bad. Diane, then what the hell are you taking that for? It's to make you stop going. Brenda, well, I don't want to have to go when we're in the middle of nowhere, do I? Geez, Mom. Trust me, I know my body. Diane takes the water bottle back. Yeah, all right. She fingers tears away. So this next stop of yours, Rock Springs, Flaming Gorge, what's that about? The toilet flushes. Brenda emerges looking pasty but trying to hide it. She meets Diane's eyes in the mirror over the sink while washing her hands. Diane looks away. I guess I'm trying to psych myself up for what's coming. There's a few things you're going to need to know before we get to the lawyer's office and to the funeral. A few things you need to be prepared for. Well, I kind of figured you were traipsing down memory lane here. But seeing as how you've never really talked about life before, Dad, and now this, I'm curious. Flaming Gorge is where I got hauled in by the cops for auto theft. Diane's jaw drops. Then her eyes narrow. Brenda makes an X over her heart. Cross my heart, it's the God's honest truth. You stole a car? My mother? You rebel! They exit the bathroom. Interior, the car. Brenda's smiling as Diane pulls out. I thought you were supposed to be a respectable adult now, and you're happy that your mother got busted for Grand Theft Auto? It's good to know you had some mischief in you. I was starting to think I was adopted or something. Brenda's face freezes, but Diane's attention is on the road. Diane, so tell me, how did you wind up stealing a car and why? Let me guess, you're a closet deadhead, so one night you got ripped and decided to boost a car and follow them. Brenda, chuckling. Not quite. It was a day or so after your grandmother disowned me. Diane's eyes bulge wide. The car fishtails as she looks at Brenda. I thought you ran away to be with Dad. I might have let it sound like that. So, Grandma Ferret, Uncle Harry's raving bitch of a sister, disowned you? What the hell did you do? That's a long story. There's a lot of road ahead of us. Brenda sighs, looking exhausted. All right, so start with getting busted for stealing the car. Brenda. It was the summer of '69. My best friend Shirley was with me. Begin flashback. Interior, the car, early evening. Gumball-style lights flash in the rearview mirror. Brenda frowns. Beside her, Shirley looks terrified. What did you do? Nothing. She signals and pulls over, then leans out the window. The officer steps from the cruiser. He adjusts his gun belt into a perfect lawman slant, then saunters to the car. Brenda. What's the problem, officer? Officer. Evening, miss. Is this your car? Brenda. Of course it's my car. Officer. Hate to ask you this, ma'am, but can I see your license and registration, please? Brenda. Nervously. Of course. She fumbles through her purse. Do you mind telling me what this is about, officer? Did I do something wrong? She hands over her license. That's what we need to see, Miss Forret. Registration, please. Visibly frazzled, Brenda nods, then reaches across Shirley into the glove box. It should be here. It's not here. Is there a problem, miss? She sits up. It's not in here. But I assure you this is my car. Well, unless you can come up with something to prove it, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to come with me. Your girlfriend there can drive behind us to the station. Now, please, step out of the car, Miss Forret. Brenda shakes her head. Go with you? Why? I demand you tell me what this is about. I got a report over the wire about a car stolen from the Ferret estate the day before yesterday. That's ridiculous. I am Brenda Lee Ferret. How on earth could I steal my own car? The report was filed by a Mrs. Charity Ferret, who claims that she's the owner of the vehicle. Now, please, miss, step out of the car and come with me so we can get this straightened out. Shirley? Shirley. That evil hag. I'll be right behind you, Bren, I promise. Dazed, Brenda slowly steps from the car. The officer escorts her to the back seat of the squad car. The squad car turns around, Brenda's distraught face in the rear window. Interior of the car, Shirley throws the shift into drive and cranks the wheel hard over. So help me, God, I hope that woman gets hers one day. Exterior, sheriff's station, parking lot. Brenda reaches for the rear door, but the officer blocks her way. I'm afraid I can't let you, miss. But those are my suitcases. My clothes are in there, everything I own. Which I was told is all property of the Forret estate. Now, Miss Forret was kind enough not to press charges, but she was adamant. Those cases and what's ever in them belong to her. I'm sorry, miss. Shirley. Well, my bags are in the back, too, and that nasty old battle axe can't have them. Shirley shoves past the officer to the back seat and, without missing a beat, grabs one of Brenda's bags. She shoves a case into Brenda's hand. Hold this, then dives back in, grabbing one of her own and her purse. She straightens up out of the car. The officer looks into the back seat, then at the bags they're each holding. They're badly mismatched. The look on Shirley's face dares him to say something. He tries very hard not to smile as he tips his hat and closes the car door. Girls, be careful out there. The bus stop's just a couple miles up the road. At the bus stop, the girls are each sitting on a suitcase on the roadside. How much money do you have? Shirley asks. Begin flashback. Interior, the garage, day. Harry empties out his wallet, pressing the bills into Brenda's hand. He dabs his handkerchief under her eyes, then places the keys into her hand. Put as many miles as you can between this place and you, and don't stop unless you absolutely have to. Brenda nods. He strokes her cheek and kisses the other one. Call me when you get somewhere. Ring once, hang up, then call back. She throws her arms gratefully around him. She slides into the driver's seat. He closes the door. They wave solemnly as she pulls out into a gray day. End flashback. At the bus stop. About $70, Cheryl. You should go home. I shouldn't have dragged you out here. Honey, it wasn't safe for you to be out here on your own with a car. I'm not going to leave you now. I shouldn't bring this to him. I can't lay this on him or his parents. I have to stand on my own 2 feet. This isn't the time for pride. Besides, you said his parents offered to take you in till you get a job, right? Brenda nods. They said they could help me get a teaching job in town. Elementary level reading. Perfect. Then you can make good. I will. I swear I will. You know there's another option, though. One that you really should consider, honey. No, after everything she's done, I'd rather live under a viaduct than go back and cower under her rule. But it's not just you to think about now, is it? From the foggy distance, a greyhound lumbers toward them. Brenda's hand drops to her abdomen. No, I won't make someone else pay for my mistake. The bus slows to a stop. The door hisses open. Your mistake? Not a thing about this is your fault. So you shouldn't have to live with it either. Brenda steps on the first step. Shh. Then disappears into the bus with Shirley dutifully following behind. Exterior, a restaurant parking lot. Day. Diane leans against the car, the cell phone to her ear. Interior, the bathroom. Looking ghostly, Brenda splashes cold water on her face. She rinses her mouth and fights a gag. Brenda. Oh, dear Lord in heaven, help me through this, please. Just give me enough time, please. She presses her head into her hands, gasping. Exterior, the restaurant parking lot. Jason, voice only. So how far out are you? Diane. We'll hit Napa sometime tomorrow. Brenda emerges from the restaurant, smiling into the sun. Jason. How's Brenda holding up? Tears well up in Diane's eyes. She swallows them quickly. I gotta go, sweetie. I'll talk with you tonight. I love you. Jason, voice only. Be careful. I love you too. Interior, the car. Brenda frowns, petting Diane's hand as they pull out onto the highway. Brenda. How's Jason? Diane. Fine. He wants to enjoy the summer before looking for a job. He says hi. Brenda. Hi back. You got a real good guy when you got him. Diane. I know. Diane prays silently. She knows what's coming. He's crazy about you. Mm-hmm. Why won't you marry him? I knew it. I fucking knew it. What is it with you guys? You love the guy so much, why don't you marry him? Brenda wiggles her occupied ring finger in front of Diane's face. Oh, believe me, I'd be tempted. You know he's not like Rick. Jason always puts your needs first. Why don't you ever bug Dave about marrying Linda? No one wants him to procreate. You don't have to be married to have kids, you know. I am frighteningly well aware of that. Is it grandkids you want? Because I can get knocked up as soon as we get home. It's not an issue. And there's no one whose kids I'd rather have than Jason's. But you won't marry him. Why wouldn't you give your children a name? God, that's archaic. Of course they'll have a name. Whatever name I damn well want them to have. All right, calm down, sweetie. There's no need to get so worked up. I just want you to be happy is all. I'd be happy if everyone would quit bugging me to marry the man. You loved a man who took off with your passport and left you stranded in the middle of Turkey enough to say yes. Don't you love Jason at least that much? I was young and stupid and trusting, and it's ancient history. I'm not talking with you about this. Who else should you talk to? Who else could have your best interest and happiness at heart like I do? You know Jason would never. I know. Then why? Just give me one good reason, and I'll back you 100%. Diane shakes her head. We all have our little secrets, don't we? Then turns on the radio and death grips the steering wheel, focusing on the road. Interior, the Foret estate. Office, night. Bernard Thorson clips into the office and stands before Charity at the desk. How close are they? Bernard. Day and a half out. They're in Flaming Gorge for the night. Charity. What have you uncovered about them? Bernard. Well, Price Enterprises, as you know, have been Decker's biggest rivals for the last 2 decades. Charity. Yes, but was it a Price Enterprise that undermined my holdings? Bernard. No, they're clean. Everything he owns, runs, or has a stake in is way above board. You can't find a single employee who'd be willing to talk badly about him or his business. Charity. Very well then, but keep scratching. You never know what you'll find. What about Harry's assets? What's his saleable worth? Bernard. It's pretty paltry. $3.2 million. It's mostly in the crops. Charity. So his product on my land comes to just over $3 million? How much is the crop insured for? Bernard. Any adjuster worth a $2 pair of dress socks would smell a scam. Her eyes dart from the computer to him. $5 million. The computer pings. Charity smiles. Charity's smile is snake-like. Her finger slides down the computer screen. Insert the North Shore Arts Center homepage, complete with photo of smiling Sean, Brenda, Jason, and Diane grinning joyfully with arms around each other, celebrating the grand opening. Her nail turns under Brenda's chin, her sneer twisting. She flicks her middle finger against the screen, right on Brenda's picture. Pathetic. Bernard. Why do you think he would have demanded they show in person for the reading of the will? He had no holdings, nothing to offer them from his own name. What's the point? Charity. The man was a sentimental, idiotic sot, just like my husband. He probably wants them to turn his funeral into a drunken celebration of life. Fool. She shakes her head and looks up. How are we doing with blocking his will, by the way? Bernard. The legal team is working on it. We should know something by morning. Charity. Excellent. I don't want any surprises, Bernard. No, ma'am, but it's a will, with his houses and cars in his own name. There's nothing to contest. You know that as well as I do. The last thing I need is to find out my idiot brother thought he could will away something that didn't belong to him. He has a habit of giving away other people's property. Bernard. Prophylaxis. Exactly. That's all, Bernard. I want every detail as soon as it's uncovered. Yes, ma'am. He turns, clipping efficiently from the office. Interior, the Flaming Gorge Inn. Night. Brenda sits up in bed, surrounded by pillows. Diane is stretched out on her back, her eyes closed, a smile playing on her face as Brenda reads aloud. Frankie hopped to his feet, pulling at his pants and crossing his legs. Don't say anything important till I get back. I gotta go pee. Then dashed out the door and down the hall. She flips the book onto its face. Boy, that's a good idea. Diane. So you have a 5-year-old's bladder then, huh? Brenda. Or 95-year-olds. Brenda leaves the bathroom door open a crack. We could make it into Napa tomorrow if we push it, or we could stop in Reno for the night and, ooh, Reno, yes, that'd be perfect. We can do the Riverwalk, take in a show, find a 5-star restaurant, and savor rich cuisine until we're ready to throw up. Oh, doesn't that sound wonderful? Diane, crinkling her face. Awesome. I'm sure puking up a 5-star meal will be an experience to remember. Brenda, how did you get to be such a smart ass? Diane, you're a long way from being any kind of dumbass, so I guess you ought to look in the mirror. Brenda cell chirps. Diane picks it up. Diane, did you know you have a voicemail from Vince since lunch? Really? What's he say? The water runs. Brenda returns to the room. Diane hands her the phone. I don't know. I didn't call. It's your phone. Brenda dials her voicemail. Takes forever for her to punch in the code. She leans down so Diane can listen too. Vincent, voice only. Brenda, it's Vince. I need you to call me as soon as you can. Charity's got her legal department poised to contest Harry's will. Now, there's nothing for you to worry about, but we need to get this done quickly. She could tie things up long enough to run out the value of everything he left for you, Bea, and the kids. I'll be in the office by 7:30. Give me a call and let me know when you'll be arriving in town. Thanks. Can she really do that? Diane asks. Brenda. Lock it up in probate? Definitely. And she will. She'll contest everything from his mental health to how many pairs of shorts he owned. Diane. The only thing he really owned was his house. I'm sure he left that to Bea and the girls. I mean, why wouldn't he, right? Brenda. Yes. Diane. Well, then why are we going? Why do we have to be there? For one, out of respect, to celebrate his life. And for the other, because a long time ago I made him a promise. And as long as there's breath in my body, I will keep it. Ooh, a quest. Exactly. So basically, you promised him you'd come back one day and slam a big old bird right in your mother's face on his behalf, right? Something like that. She gets comfortable and picks up the book again. Now, shall we continue? Oh, do let's. Interior, their hotel room, night. Diane is sleeping. The room is dark. The clock face shows a wee hour. Footsteps shuffle on carpet. The bathroom door swings partly shut. Something thuds into the wall. The towel bar clatters thunderously to the floor. Stuttered thumping and choking grunts explode into the night. Diane's out of bed in a flash. Mom? The bathroom light slices the darkness. Brenda's on the floor seizing. Her head thumps against the wall. Her eyes are terrified. She can't speak. Her wig is skewed to the side, revealing her almost bald pate. Diane wedges a towel under her head, holding her gently while kicking the wall. Somebody call 911! Somebody call 911, please! Brenda's hand grabs her shirt. I'm here. It's going to be okay. Sorry. Tears explode from Diane's eyes as she shakes her head. No, it's okay. You're going to be okay. Don't you even think about leaving me. Somebody fucking call 911. Interior, St. Mary's Hospital. Day. The waiting room is peppered with people. Diane paces, chewing her thumbnail. Dr. Indiri makes a beeline for her. He's a big city, glamorous type with an aura of divinity. What's going on? What happened? Dr. Indiri, come with me, please. He leads her to a private consultation room. Your mother had a seizure, we believe was brought on by dehydration and a depletion of her electrolytes. We have her on an IV right now. She should be better shortly. But I'm afraid her condition is advancing. She's going to need time to rest and recover her strength. What do you mean her condition? What do you mean advancing? I thought those meds she's taking are an aggressive form of treatment. Or are you talking about the asthma? Because we can stay away from tourist places, and I'll keep the air on. Her asthma's part of it, of course, but largely it's aggravated by the tumors in her lungs. Tumors? Are you not aware that her cancer is now in stage 4? No. She's fighting it. She's on those meds. They're for fighting cancer. If it was that bad, she would have told me. Diane stumbles into a chair. Dr. Indiri sits beside her. I'm sorry, I thought for certain you would have known. Diane shaking her head. She has asthma. She's always had it, and stress makes it worse, sure. I mean, we are headed to a funeral. Uncle Harry's, the only one she'd ever come this far for. Sorry to be the one to tell you, but your mother is suffering from end stages of metastatic disease. The room spins. Diane's head falls into her hands. End stages? That's not possible. I mean, we've been together 24/7 for the last 3 days. She's been great. I mean, great as she ever is. Dr. Indiri, I'm sorry. Diane, she's always been sickly, but stage 4, that's dying, right? That's count your days kind of dying, right? Dr. Indiri, I've been in touch with her doctors back in Illinois. Doctors. Her internist, the oncologists, they all advised her strongly against this trip. She was rather adamant, though. Yeah, well, what Brenda wants, Brenda gets. I'd say it was a valiant effort, but she's going to need to stay here a few days. Yeah, sure, of course. Dr. Indiri rises and towers over her as she looks up. What room is she in? Dr. Indiri. She's in 217, just down the hall on your right. Take a few minutes for yourself. If you need anything, just ask at the desk. Diane nods numbly. The doctor leaves. She steeples her fingers at her mouth. Her breath hitches. Her eyes mist. She shakes her head and holds her breath. She fights the tears. They win. Interior, Brenda's room. Diane's a wreck. She sits on the bed and leans over, hugging Brenda. So he told you, huh? You should have. That's what your father said. Would you close the door, please, and get me my clothes? Mom, you can't. You need to rest. They need to keep you for a few days. I'll email B, let her know we're not going to. You will not. Diane frowns. You're not in any shape to finish this trip. It could wind up finishing you. Not a chance. Harry never asked a thing from me. Never. Except this one thing. And if I have to hire a limo or even fly, I'm going to do this one thing for him. It's a funeral. He's dead. He's not going to know if you're there or not. It's not about the funeral. Then what's it about? Is it about the money? You know he left everything that he had to you and B and the kids. There's much more to it than that. Is it about flipping your mom off? 'Cause to hell with that. Who gives a shit what that bitch thinks anyway? I'll make you a deal. You get us to Napa, and I will tell you the rest of the story. No, you're not leaving this hospital. The doctor said you needed rest. Brenda leans forward, her steely core shining brightly. Fuck him. I made a promise. Now you can help me keep it or get out of my way. They stop and stare into each other's eyes. Diane blinks a couple of times. I need your help, please. Then grabs Brenda's bag and starts helping her to get dressed. Begin montage. Interior, the car, day. They pass the Welcome to Reno sign. On the Riverwalk, pointing at boaters. Eating snacks while meandering among shops. At a dinner theater. Back at the hotel, sitting in bed and reading to each other. End montage. Interior, their hotel room, late. Brenda gets up, crosses to Diane's bed. She kisses her forehead, smiling, then heads to the bathroom. Interior, the car, night. They zoom past a road sign that reads, Welcome to beautiful Napa Valley. Exterior, the Napa Valley Inn. The car pulls in. Valets open the door. Diane jogs to Brenda's side, their arms linked as they walk slowly in. Diane seats Brenda, then heads to the desk to check in. Interior, their hotel room. They unpack essentials. Brenda and her case enter the bathroom. Interior, the bathroom. Brenda sorts her pills, refills her tin, and swallows a handful of them. Diane, off screen. So you said if I got you to Napa, you'd fill me in on the rest. I did. So start filling. With a faint smile, Brenda nods. Keep in mind, it was a very different world back then. Begin flashback. Exterior, the Foret Estate. Ballroom, night. Super, June 1969. Young adults wearing a veneer of dignity fill the ballroom, spilling out into the grand patio. Boys and girls cluster together. Some couples are engaged in each other. Music of the powdered wig variety rolls into the night. On the patio wall, Sean, dressed in a waiter's uniform, sits beside Brenda, talking. In the background, inside, young Julian Decker oozes greasily toward Charity. Together, Charity and Julian beeline through the ballroom to the patio. Brenda, in a gorgeous cream-color strapless dress, and Sean are deeply into each other. Charity glides out onto the patio, Julie nearly slavering at her heel. The group of young adults split apart. Her eyes slide over the crowd. They narrow on Brenda. Charity and Julian approach. Sean leaps to his feet. Charity. You're fired. Brenda. Mother, it's not his fault. Sean pats Brenda's arm, but Brenda won't have it. She strokes his face and lays her lips gently on his. Happily dumbstruck once Brenda breaks the kiss, Sean nods at Charity before leaving. Fury burns in Charity's eyes. I'm sure you remember Julian Decker. Charity draws Julian forward. Brenda's eyes flick to Sean. Why can't she be fired, too? Brenda. Of course. Charity. Julian has asked if you'd be so kind as to show him through the gardens in the moonlight. He's heard that ours is second to none. Brenda. Of course. I'll get my sweater. Just a moment, please. She strides toward the front doors. Charity. Pardon me, Julian. Brenda will be out in just a moment. Julian. Of course. Mrs. Foret? A cold smile crosses her face. She's been waiting for this. Julian, smarmy. Mrs. Foret, we've known each other a long time. I'd like yours, and of course Mr. Foret's permission to begin courting Brenda. She's such a lovely girl, and I've been more than fond of her for a very long time. Charity. I'll discuss it with Mr. Foret. Julian. Of course, thank you. Her indulgent smile turns calculating as she returns inside. Interior, Brenda's bedroom. It's a suite to cause royalty envy, an epitome of overindulgence. Brenda stands before a closet full of incredible finery. Brenda. Shit on a stick. Charity. Such vulgarity must come from your father's side. Brenda startles. I'm sure you're right. Heaven knows your ancestry is flawless. Unless you count, don't you dare, Charity growls menacingly. Brenda smiles angelically, grabs her sweater, and glides past Charity. Charity continues. I've contacted Robert. He's assigned a deputy to ensure that riffraff doesn't step another foot on this property. Brenda. Another of your grandiose gestures, Mother? I assure you it's not necessary. Sean only worked this party to come say goodbye. Charity's eyebrow arches, demanding more information. Brenda slides the sweater on, her expression glowing. He'd only just told me when you interrupted. I suppose now we'll just have to keep our eyes on the national business section, won't we? Excuse me, I have a guest and I mustn't keep him waiting. She nearly floats into the hall, her giggle echoing back to the room. Exterior, the gardens. Night blooms thrive in the moonlight. Leaves rustle. Wood snaps intermittently. Male and female grunts and whimpers come from off-screen. A vine and bloom-covered trellis shakes. Brenda. Stop! Julian, no! She's pinned against the trellis while he gropes and kisses her. She pushes at him, but he pins her hands. Heavy footfalls ring out on the flagstones. A large ham hand grabs Julian by the collar of his jacket and throws him to the far wall. Brenda gasps relieved and approaches the mountain of a man. This is Dale Decker. He's in his late 20s. Dale. What the hell do you think you're doing? Julian. Dale. Dale grabs Brenda by the arm and drags her to stand before Julian. Brenda. Dale, he got a little carried away, that's all. She straightens her dress and sweater. Dale turns to her. Are you all right? Brenda. Fine, thank you. Dale. He's like an overexcited puppy sometimes. Brenda. Everyone gets carried away sometimes. Dale. Yeah, they do. But that's no excuse for forgetting the basics. Dale's fist flies into her belly. Brenda crumples, gagging for air. Dale throws her down to Julian. Dale, hold her tight. You can't leave marks, man. How many times do I have to tell you? Julian pinned her arms over her head and sits on them. One hand clamps down over her mouth. Dale kneels at Brenda's feet and opens his jacket. Dale, take off your tie and wrap it around her neck. If she starts to fight, you know what to do. Julian, you're going to let me have my turn this time, right? Dale, if you're a good boy. Julian slides his tie off. Dale pushes Brenda's skirt up. Her feet flail. She screams under Julian's hand. Dale grabs her legs, pinning them under his. Julian twists his tie around her neck. Julian, easy there, Bren. You get too loud and... He twists the tie. She gags and struggles. He lets off a bit. Tears flow down the sides of Brenda's face. Dale unzips her dress at the side. Remember, Jules, you can't take stupid chances. He spreads the bodice open and sits on his heels, delighted smile on his face, watching her naked breasts heave with her crying. Dale, never damage the clothes if you can help it, and never leave any marks. He cups and kneads her breasts. He squirms, grinning as she writhes, struggling beneath him. His hands disappear under her skirt. She screams against Julian's hand. Julian twists the tie around her neck until she's quiet again. Julian's whole expression brightens as his brother's zipper goes down. Over them, the trellis seems to quake in time with the sound of flesh slapping and thudding against flesh. Wide open, horn-like night flowers nod and rock, almost as if they're egging them on, while her body jolts repeatedly on the ground. Dale groans, then sighs. Your turn, Jules. I got her started for you. A zipper goes up. Silhouettes trade places. Another zipper goes down. Tears slide into Brenda's hair. Interior, the Foret estate. The servants' entrance. Later. Brenda quietly closes the laundry room door, locks it, and leans against it. Her face is streaked. She's clearly traumatized. Her breath hitches, then settles. She scans the darkness. Fear, disbelief, horror in her eyes. Tentatively, she reaches for the inner door. Interior, the Foret estate, near the library. The party music fades as Brenda progresses down the hall. She tiptoes, glances behind her. To the right, a door opens. A chest in a suit bumps into her. Hands clasp her shoulders. Brenda freaks. Harry's smile decays into a dark frown. Hey, easy there, baby doll. She's panting, terrified. Her eyes search for escape. Bren, honey, what is it? What's wrong? My God, you're shaking like a leaf. She shakes her head. Light catches a red streak around her neck. Harry tilts her head. What's this? He cups her chin, trying to find her gaze. Brenda! He drapes an arm over her shoulders and tries to turn her toward the library. She panics and tries to pull away. No. Harry pulls her to him tightly. Shh, I got you, baby doll. I got you. It's okay. Slowly, she awakens. Uncle Harry? That's right. She turns in, buries her face against him, and breaks. Interior, the library. Later. Brenda appears shrunken in a large wingback chair. She sips absently at a shot of whiskey. Charity and Harry stand nose to nose in the middle of the room. Neither will budge. Harry, I'm telling you, no girl cries like that unless there's a reason, and those two thugs are more than a reason enough. I can't believe you fed her to them. If something did transpire, I assure you it must have been her fault. I've known both those boys all their lives. They're perfect gentlemen. You're blaming your own daughter for the behavior of animals? I'm saying that if something of an untoward nature did happen, it most certainly would not have done so if perhaps my wanton daughter would not have misled the boys. She wheels to glare at Brenda. Men are weak, helpless against the urges of their base nature. It's up to a woman to make sure that nature is not given leave to exert itself. Harry's furious. He tilts Brenda's head up, exposing the redness around her neck. Look at that and tell me she had any willing part in what they did. Charity's prickly gaze rakes over the girl. I see nothing. Harry, I always knew you were a cold, calculating harpy, but I never realized what a bitch you are. He turns, pouring himself a stiff drink. Charity towers over Brenda, who shrinks deeper into the chair. Mark my words, if you so much as utter a single word, even a hint of accusation, you will be removed from this house, never to return. Charity! Charity. This is my house, Harold. You are here as a matter of propriety and familial duty. Remember your place. She strides from the room. Harry gathers Brenda in his arms. I don't care what she says. Someone has to do something. Those filthy animals can't be allowed to get away with this. She shakes her head. No, the scandal. Harry. To hell with the scandal. Do you give a damn what people like that are going to think about anything? No, Harry, it's not that. It's not what they'll think, but if I cause trouble, they'll all think that I did something to deserve it. Did you? Shocked and speechless, she shakes her head. No, I didn't. He has to see the gardens. Of course, I thought he might try to steal a kiss or something, but her face falls into her hands as she sobs. End flashback. Interior, their hotel room. They're both in jammies. Diane. Rules. Brenda. Rules. Don't leave marks. Don't damage the clothes. These guys were serial rapists. Yeah. And when you found out you were pregnant with me, you told, and that's what got you disowned? Yep. What a fucking bitch. I mean, excuse the F word, but holy shit. Yeah. How could you keep me? I mean, sheesh, I think I would have had an abortion. How could you stand to look at a reminder of such a horrible thing every day of your life? Brenda pours them each more wine. It was a very different time. Either way, there would have been a scandal. I made a choice. Diane. Just when I thought I made it to your warm and gooey center, you surprised me with another layer. Is it wrong that I feel really dirty? Brenda. Yeah. Brenda folds her arms around Diane. There hasn't been a moment when I wished I'd done anything differently. At least not where you're concerned. Their hotel room later. The room is dark. The clock reads 5:45 a.m. Brenda is propped up with all but one pillow. Her breathing is jagged, punctuated with the occasional snore. Her head is covered by her fleece cap. Diane sits up, her blank stare on Brenda, tears slide down her face. She composes herself and wipes her eyes. Her gaze falls to Brenda's makeup case and a photo stuck into the corner. She rises and holds the photo to the clock light. Insert photo of Brenda and Sean kissing on their wedding day. She flips it over. Written on the back, August 15th, 1969, the most perfect wedding ever. Diane frowns and counts months with her fingers. September, October, November, December, January, February. She shakes her head, then frowns again and puts the photo back. She shuffles into the bathroom. The door closes. The light goes on. Diane grimaces. Her gaze falls to the wig on the styrofoam head. She gingerly touches one of the soft waves. She lowers her head. The wave caresses her cheek. She breathes deep and caves into silent sobs. Interior. Ehrlicher, Strathouse, Moore, and Peterson. Day. Diane and Brenda seem to trickle down a wide, stark hallway peppered with just enough art to be genuinely impressive. Brenda's claw grip is the only sign of her physical deterioration. Diane, do you need to stop? Brenda, no, I'm okay. Diane, but what if I'm not? Brenda stops. Shades of dark color her expression. What do you mean? I don't want to meet these people after what they did to you. After everything they put you through, I'm not sure I can stand to look at them. Brenda, your grandfather will be here too. He's not much better than your mother, if you ask me. I mean, what kind of man won't step up on behalf of his own child? At least he kept in touch. He wants so much to see you. But he never had the balls to stand up to Charity? I think Mother has them in a jar somewhere. It's not his fault he's not as strong as you'd like him to be. Brenda glances down the hall to the doors of the main office. Please, sweetheart, I never thought any of this would come to pass. You mean you thought you'd die first? Forgive me? She strokes Diane's cheek. So, this is what you broke out of the hospital for. I promised Harry that one day I would stand tall and unapologetic before her and show her what she missed out on. She raises Diane's hand and kisses the back of it before moving toward the door again. Diane, me? Brenda, you. Man, oh God, I'm a pawn. Brenda, one person's pawn is another's pride and joy. The door swings silently open, admitting them to the nerve center of the office. They're cordially greeted by Claire. Mrs. Price, Miss Price, I'm Claire DeLeon. Thank you for coming. Follow me, please. She leads them down the corridor to interior Vincent's office. Claire swings the doors open and steps aside for Brenda and Diane. Claire, Mrs. Brenda Price and Miss Diane Price, permit me to introduce you to Mr. Vincent Ehrlicher, founder of the firm. Vincent rises and shakes their hands in turn. Claire, I believe, Mrs. Price, you already know Mr. Forat? Brenda, yes, thank you. Claire closes the door and turns to the bar. Brenda looks from Diane to Jean, sitting across the desk from Vince. Brenda, Diane, this is Jean Forat of the Forat Vineyards. Diane reaches forward, shaking his hand across the table. Your 83 Shiraz is wonderful. Ah, are you an aficionado? No, I'm a beer drinker. Wine gives me heartburn, but once in a while I indulge. Imports or microbrews? Miller Lite. Jean arches an eyebrow. Brenda chuckles. Jean comes forward. You've raised her beautifully, Bren. And enfolds Brenda into his arms, his lips at her temple. Thanks, Dad. It's great to see you in person again. Jean, I've missed you. He grabs Diane into the embrace, too. And I've missed not being able to meet you or your brother before this. I'm so sorry. Diane nodding. So where's Charity? Did you two ride in together? Jean pinches her cheek, chuckling. My loyalties have always been with my little girl. Claire sets a heavy tray with coffee and cups on a coffee table, then motions everyone to it. Vincent, ladies, what you're about to hear has been decades in the planning. Thank you for coming in to go over all the details. Brenda, what details? Vincent throws a look at Jean, who nods sedately. Brenda, just what the hell is going on here? Vincent, through the years, and through some rather savvy maneuvering, your uncle managed to nurture a small fortune of his own. Jean, he used that fortune to buy many things, stocks, certain tracts of land held by a particular vineyard, if you take my meaning. Brenda, Forat Vineyards? He bought land from himself? Brenda's eyes pop wide open. Brenda, to Diane, he never owned the land. The fruit was his. Mother owned the land. Jean, incorrect. I owned the land, my dear, and always had. Your mother runs the company, and I'm afraid she wore the power so well I just didn't have the energy to fight her for it. Brenda, so what exactly does she own? Jean, the house. I gave it to her as a wedding present. Brenda, so you sold Harry the land in small enough bits and pieces so that Mother wouldn't notice it? Jean, that's correct. Diane, slick. Jean, indeed, but there's more. Vincent, Harry also bought huge quantities of stock in the Decker Corporation. Brenda, what? Diane, why? Vincent, just before he died, he obtained the majority share. It wasn't fast enough to save the Arts Center, Diane. I'm sorry. Diane, me too, so cut to the quick, Mr. Ehrlicher. What does all this mean to Mom and me? Interior, the limo. On the phone, Charity Forat fixes gaudy feathering lipstick on her lemon-puckered old mouth. Any hint of comeliness she once had has been undone by years of deceit and cruelty. Charity, there's no need to bother Mr. Forat with trivialities. Stephen, voiceover. I hardly think losing the shipping company is a triviality. Charity, we won't lose it if you do what I instructed. Stephen, I can't do that. It's called fraud, and it's illegal. Charity, I don't care what you have to do, Stephen, or who you have to beg, borrow, or steal from in order to tip the scales, but you will do it. Without control of the shipping, the winery loses millions. I will not have that. Stephen, everything else is in the red, Mrs. Forat. I don't need to remind you of that. Charity, I am about to secure a net value of approximately $3.2 million. That should be ample funds to finally buy those two brats out completely. Stephen. Really? You think your brother left you the vineyard? The limo pulls up outside the law firm. Charity. The vines. I already own the land, but not the fruit. Yet. I'll let you know how much we have to work with after the reading. Charity disconnects the line and waits. The driver comes round, opens the door, and assists her out. She walks with a cane. Keep the engine running. This shouldn't take long. In the conference room, Claire sets the last cleaned coffee cup into the rack as the intercom buzzes. Secretary, voice only. Mrs. Ferret has arrived. Claire leans against the bar, smiling. Claire. Mr. Ehrlicher's in his office. Buzz him there, but please bring Miss Ferret in. Jean looks at her and winks. The door is thrown wide. Charity strides in. Her eyes fall to Jean, and her step hesitates just barely. Charity. Jean. I was certain we'd agreed that I would handle this. Where's Vincent? Claire steps forward, extending her hand. Claire. Mrs. Ferret, it's a pleasure to meet you. Charity. I'm sure. Where's Vincent? Claire's hand drops. Claire. Mr. Ehrlicher will be right in. Jean. He had business to tend to, dear, and the reading isn't due to start for a few more minutes. Charity slings her purse and coat onto a chair. Would you like... Get me some coffee, girl. Cream, 2 sugars. Make sure it's tepid. Claire. Yes, ma'am. Jean. Why don't you sit down, love? Charity. Why are you here? What purpose could your presence possibly serve? Jean. I'm here for the same reason as you, love. Charity. I highly doubt that. She checks her watch. Where is that man? I should bill him for my time. Claire sets the coffee in front of Charity. Your coffee, ma'am. Jean gives Claire a smile and another wink. Charity. Control yourself, Jean. You're already a fool. There's no need to flaunt it. Outside the conference room, Brenda shifts nervously, looking from Diane to Vincent. Diane pets her shoulder. You've been more than fine for over 3 decades. Stand proud. You're stronger than you think you are. Besides, I'm right here. Brenda leans in and sighs, then straightens up. She nods. Vincent. Ready? Brenda. No. Vincent. Okay, then. His hand falls to the knob. Brenda nods. Vincent enters first, 3 quick strides. Interior the conference room. Charity wheels toward the door. There you are. I certainly hope whatever it was... Vincent motions behind himself as the door opens further. Diane and Brenda enter arm in arm. Charity. What is this, Vincent? Vincent. Surely you remember your own daughter, and this lovely young lady at her side is your granddaughter, Miss Diane Price. Ladies, please join us. Charity. I thought she was in the hospital. Brenda. Reports of my near demise. Well, you know the rest. Diane seats Brenda beside Jean and takes the seat closest to Charity. Claire offers coffee. Diane. Water, please, for both of us. Charity. These women have no business here, Vincent. Neither of them are part of the Ferret family, and therefore have no business at... Diane. Wow! You really are a raving bitch. Charity. I see you've instilled your particular brand of gutter-snipe couth in your bastard. Diane. Actually, it was Uncle Harry who used to call you that. I once asked what you were like. He said she was born a raving bitch and she gonna die a raving bitch. Now, how about some ice cream? Remember, Mom? Chuckles bubble out of Brenda. She nods, grinning. We shared a Buffalo Bill banana split after that. Jean snorts, then looks down, unable to hide his smile. Charity. Charming. As I should have expected. Vincent. Let's say we get down to business, shall we? Vincent pulls a sheet of paper from a manila envelope. Part of my instructions upon your brother's death was to read this aloud. Charity, long ago you made it one of your life's missions to remind me that I lacked a certain acceptable level of ambition. Thank you for changing that. Because of you, I was driven to acquire the majority share of Decker Shipping, all the while allowing you to think you were in charge. Upon my death, this changes. I have willed Decker Shipping and all of its holdings, including the Foret Vineyard, which your husband was kind enough to sell me, to its rightful heir. The winery, of course, is still yours and Jean's. All of my other properties and assets have been bequeathed, of course, to my beloved Beatrice and our children. So, dear sister, in light of all you've taught me through the years, as you sow, so shall ye reap. I wish you nothing. Harry. Jean, clapping. Well played, old man, well played. Charity. You filthy, conspiring, drunken frog. Jean. Darling Charity. He holds up a contract, waving it in front of her face. Charity. What's that? Jean. I've been named as Director of Operations at your daughter's vineyard. As you know, neither Beatrice nor the children care for the burden of ownership. They're quite delighted, however, with the houses and the cars. He slides the contract into his inner pocket. Charity looks incredulous at Vincent, who nods. Charity. Preposterous. You're not capable of running a business. You'll drink it under the table. Jean. Then I'll be sure to have a grand time doing it. Diane and Brenda rise. Diane helps Brenda into her jacket. Brenda. I think Jason would be perfect to run a shipping business, don't you? Diane shrugs. I think so. If he doesn't want to, we can always break it up and sell off the component parts. We'd never have to work again. Ooh, we could use the money to build a new arts center and it would be completely funded. Charity slams her hands on the table, rising to her feet. Charity, I'll not have it. I'll fight this tooth and nail until there's not a single grape or so much as a tugboat left. Jean. You're certainly welcome to wear out your allowance in whatever way you'll see fit, love. Charity. Allowance? You conniving, self-righteous. Easy, love. Mind your blood pressure. Dad, are you coming to the wake? Of course. Your uncle would be very upset if I didn't do him proud at the bar. Diane turns to Charity and nods. Diane. Mrs. Foret. Diane and Brenda leave. Jean rises, shakes hands with Vincent, and then with Claire. Jean. Thank you both for a lovely morning. Claire. A pleasure, Mr. Foret. Vincent, to all. Pleasure's been all mine, Jean. Whatever papers are left to sign, I'll have them sent out in the morning. Jean winks, kisses Claire's hand. The pleasure is indeed mine, Miss de Leon. Thank you. He turns to Charity. Coming, dear? She sneers at him, but stays put as he walks out. Suit yourself. See you at the wake. Interior, their hotel room. Brenda's trying to pick an outfit while Diane sits stunned at the desk. Brenda holds up the slacks with one of several different blouses. I can't believe he'd do that. Why the hell would he do something like that? Brenda. Money means freedom, sweetie, but I do think rather he wanted David to have something constructive to do with his life. And who better to make sure he doesn't destroy it all than you? What do you think, honey, teal or tangerine? She holds all of them together. I'm a reading teacher, Teal. I don't know the first thing about running a business. I'm sure Jason will help. After all, he got the center turning a profit in just a couple of years, right? Maybe I should go with the cream. Ooh, or maybe the cranberry. She changes the tops and holds them up for Diane. What the hell do I know about shipping besides hitting either FedEx or UPS? What on God's green earth could he have been thinking? Cranberry. Brenda. You really should start getting ready. Are you going to take a shower? Diane. I did before you got up. And splitting it between me and Dave, well, that's just pure dumb. She grabs a pair of slacks out of her suitcase and kicks her shoes across the room. Brenda slides into her slacks. Ooh, what's that purple top you have in there? Diane. I'm wearing this one. She fingers the one she's already got on. Diane. Did Harry have Alzheimer's? Any kind of dementia? Brenda pulls out a purple blouse and holds it up against Diane. Wear this one. It'll go beautifully under the blazer. Diane flops onto the bed, working her buttons absently. This is insane. I can't run a shipping company. Dave can barely tie his own shoes. He hasn't had a checking account since college. This is crazy. Harry liked warmer colors. Maybe I should wear the cranberry blouse. That's what I said. Besides, it makes you look like you have more color. Are you sure you're up to this? Maybe we should just wait and go to the funeral instead. Brenda sits beside her and pulls her close. The wake is the party he cared about. Besides, I need to say goodbye to him, hon. Brenda presses Diane's head to her shoulder. After a long moment, Diane relaxes into the hug. Brenda releases her. They look at each other. Brenda, if you believe in that sort of thing, then the shipping business really is in your blood. You'll do fine. Diane, what about Dave? Brenda, yeah. I'm afraid neither Sean nor I can figure out exactly what's in his blood. Exterior, the funeral home, day. Arm in arm, Diane and Brenda glide beneath the carport into the large glass and brick structure. Interior, the foyer. Green and gold light dances in through the skylights. A placard at the door reads, Forette. Diane, ready? Brenda, tears streaming. I thought this would be the easy part. Interior, the viewing room. It's a double room full of people mingling, chatting, watching home movies of Harry, Bea and their kids, playing on a flat screen on the wall. Bea, a sporty 70-something woman, makes her way quickly to Brenda and Diane. Diane signs them in. Bea, Bren, you look beautiful, dear. Oh, now, she hands her a tissue. Harry never could stand to see you cry, dear. Don't leave him feeling morose. She reaches over, grabbing Diane's arm, then pulls her into a hard hug. And you just have to be Diane. Oh, how Harry loved to brag about you. I swear you'd have thought you were his own daughter. Diane, being squeezed. Nice to meet you, finally. Bea lets go as her daughters approach. They're both robust and joyful-looking women. Harriet grins, pumping Diane's hand as if it's a hand pump. Harriet, hi, I feel like I know you already. I'm Harriet. She motions to a younger fashion plate with a beautiful little girl, Ashley, 4, holding her hand. This is my sister Sylvie and my niece Ashley. Handshakes and greetings flow freely. Interior, the funeral home, later. Diane chats with Sylvie and Harriet, her gaze mostly on Brenda, who's kneeling at Harry's casket. From the background, Charity hobbles forcefully forward until she's at Brenda's side. All eyes turn to her. The fleur-de-lis catches the light in Charity's eye. Charity's gaze narrows. Her hand reaches toward it. Diane moves protectively to Brenda, pulling her out of reach. Charity eyes Diane. Her hand falls. Don't get attached to anything this filthy thief has given you. I assure you I will have what's rightfully mine. Brenda, I'll leave you to pay your respects. Charity spits into the casket. That should do it. In the background, Ashley tugs at Bea's sleeve. Ashley, Nana, who is that mean old lady? Bea, no one, dear. Charity wheels around, sneers over the watchful assembly, then clatters out. Brenda pulls a tissue from her pocket and cleans off the spittle. Brenda, to Harry, I'm sure you didn't expect roses, did you? Interior, the funeral home, later. Brenda's sitting with Bea, her daughters, and Ashley. Diane gets up and kisses Brenda's cheek. Potty time. You coming? Brenda, no, sweetie, I'm actually good. Diane, okay. Diane tracks across the hall to the bathroom. Interior, the bathroom. Diane puts her mascara away, then sweeps colored gloss on her lips. She leans in toward the mirror, trimming the gloss line. Diane, voiceover. And sometimes it's not. When she leans back, she's wearing the fleur-de-lis. She takes a shaky breath, nods, and leaves the bathroom. Interior, the main hallway. Track Diane through the hall into the viewing room. A placard on an easel reads Price. Interior, the viewing room. Sean is talking with Bea, Harriet, and Sylvie. He's bouncing Ashley in his arms and smiling. Several groups are clustered and talking. A tall, dark blonde man stands slump-shoulders, his head down. This is David. Diane moves to him, links her arm in his, lays her head on his shoulder. He tilts his head against hers. David, softly. Was she as bad as Harry always said? Diane, worse. David, shaking his head. How could anybody hate her? He motions toward the casket. Diane shrugs. David, she was kind, loving, generous, empathetic. I mean, She practiced all the best qualities she wanted to see, led by example, you know? Diane faces him, cups his face. Yeah, but I bet that's only part of the reason she hated her so much. David sparks his eyebrow. Only part? Diane nods. Mom had the capacity to inspire people, but more important, she had the capacity to inspire love in people. My bet is Charity never could, and she hated her for it. David nods, presses his forehead to hers, then glances toward Jason. What's she gonna do about him? Diane smiles. I suppose I have a few questions for him before I do anything, really. David nods, kisses her on the cheek, and angles her toward the patiently waiting man. Diane walks to him. Her tear-flooded eyes move to the flat panel running a slideshow of photos of Brenda and her family. Jason drapes his arm around Diane from behind and kisses her neck. Holding up? She nods, swallowing hard, and cracks a shaky smile. Would you? If I said yes? She shakes her head. Would you promise to never leave me? He presses his temple to hers. His tear slides down her face. I would. I'd even try to keep it. She nods. Do that. He smiles as a new arrival catches his eye. I promise. Somebody new. She turns, her eyes grow wide. She moves quickly to the entry where he's signing in, dragging Jason with her. Sean's gaze follows them. Bee and the girls turn. Bee smiles. I knew he'd come. Sean, please tell me she didn't. Bee, not a snowball's chance in hell. Sean, thank God. Diane wraps her arms around Jean, who kisses her cheeks one at a time. Diane. Jason, this is Jean Ferret, my grandfather. Without him and Harry and all their planning, Jason reaches out, shaking his hand heartily and smiling. We wouldn't have a Ferret Center for the Arts. I don't know how to thank you. Jean, take care of my granddaughter for starters. Sean presses forward, eagerly taking Jean's hand and begins leading him toward the front of the room. Jean. Thank you for coming, Jean. It means everything to us. Jean. Thank you for taking care of my girl, son. He pats Sean on the shoulder, pushing himself toward his daughter. Interior, the funeral home, later. The viewing room is empty except for the casket and Diane sitting beside it. The book is open in her hands. Diane. Harry met the older boy's questioning look and nodded with a gentle smile. Even in heaven, all mamas love to watch their babies play. Go give her a treat. Frank clapped and jumped up, running for the swing as Nick pushed himself to his feet. Harry dropped a hand on the boy's shoulder. Let yesterday go, Nick. Slowly, the eldest of the junior Emersons nodded and shrugged out of his jacket. For the moment, he could leave it and his fears behind. He knew Frankie was right, and so was Harry. Today was a day for Mama, so he raced off to the swings to play while he still could. The end. She tucks the book under her arm and gently lays a kiss on Brenda's cheek. The end. For Love by Jill Carlton. Read by Jill Carlton.